Hi there. Has llegado aquí porque quieres aprobar el título oficial de inglés B2 First con buena nota. O como decimos en inglés, you want to ace the B2 First exam. Yo soy Bri de AC Academia de Inglés Online y este video es un segundo capítulo de una serie de clases para ayudarte a superar el examen B2 First. Hoy te vamos a hablar de la segunda parte del examen de speaking, part 2, llamada Long Term Questions. En esta clase te enseñaremos algunos trucos para que te presentes al examen de speaking con confianza. También harás un simulacro de examen o, como decimos en inglés, you'll do a mock exam. Okay, let's get started. Manos a la obra. So, to begin, let's talk about the format of the long-term part of the speaking exam. Now, it's called long-term, but actually, you're only going to be speaking for 1 minute and a half in total. The examiner will ask you to compare two photographs for 1 minute. Next, the examiner will ask a follow-up question to your partner about the photos that you described. Then you swap turns. So, what's the key to sailing through la clave para tener éxito in this part of the speaking exam? Well, here are 5 key tips. First, understand your time limits. So 1 minute may seem very long for a lot of students, but it's actually not. And for this reason, it's important to practice speaking and actually timing yourself so you get to know how long a minute feels. For the follow-up question, you only need to speak for 30 seconds. So it's also important to practice this question so that you know how long it feels. You know when you've been speaking for 30 seconds, and that's it. Okay, tip number 2. Don't just describe the pictures. That's a very common mistake for B2 First students. They simply spend their time describing the photos, but actually the focus of your minute should be on comparing, contrasting, and analyzing the photos. Here, you want to think about the language that you can show, language that is showing the similarities and the differences in the photo. Okay, number 3, structure your answers. Think about organizing your ideas and having a structure for your long-term responses. This will help you feel more confident when you're speaking for a minute. It helps you not get lost in your ideas. So here's one suggestion for you to answer your long-term question. 1, describe the similarities. Next, describe the differences. And finally, answer the question that they've asked you. So having a formula like this and practicing it regularly will help you stay on track with your response. Okay, tip number 4. Don't worry about memorizing the examiner's question. Remember that the question you need to answer is always going to be written above the 2 images that you will be given, so you can refer to it at any time. Number 5, use lots of interesting connectors. The B2 First examiners love connectors, and connectors help you organize your thoughts, express your ideas clearly, and develop your ideas. Okay, we're going to act out part 2 of the speaking exam scenario, and to help me with my demonstration, I have my lovely assistant, Raul. He will play student 1 answering the examiner's questions, and you will be playing student 2. As you watch the video, listen to my instructions. I'll tell you when to pause the video and to answer a question. Now, after our virtual practice exam, we're going to talk about the examiner's feedback and comments. Okay, here we go. Let's now listen to the examiner's instructions. In this part of the test, I'm going to give you 2 photographs. Raul, I'd like you to talk about your photographs on your own for about a minute.
Okay.
And also to answer a question about your partner's photographs. So it's going to be your turn first. Raul, here are your photographs. They show different places where people stay on holiday.
Okay.
I'd like you to compare the photographs and say why you think these people have chosen these places to stay. All right?
All right. Okay, so both of these photos show accommodation options outside, close to nature, but the second picture is definitely more luxurious. Another similarity is that both locations seem like calm places to stay. The camping site is in the middle of a green forest, and the second photo is a 5-star resort. In terms of differences, photo 1 is very green, but it does look a bit disorganized. And in comparison to the swimming pool and hotel in the second image, yeah. I imagine resorts are the type of accommodation that people choose for a fancy honeymoon, for example. Camping can also be fun, especially if you enjoy this type of holiday, but you need to be well prepared with the tent, food, equipment.
Thank you. Now, at this stage of the Part 2 speaking exam, the examiner will ask Raul's partner to answer questions about his pictures. We want you to imagine that you are Raul's speaking partner. So pause the video now and try to speak for about 30 seconds answering this question. Do you like camping? Now, let's just imagine that I am Raul's speaking partner. Here's a sample to the question. Yes, I'm a real fan of camping. Since I was a child, I have really just always enjoyed being outside in the fresh air and exploring the mountains. I think camping is a great opportunity to disconnect. But my favorite part is sleeping under the stars and making a fire. I really just love the whole experience. Okay, now it's your turn at home to speak about 2 photographs. Here are your images. They show people competing against each other. I'd like you to compare the photographs and say why the people may have decided to compete. All right? Now, as you answer your long-term question, I want you to think about tips from earlier. So remember, 1, time yourself speaking for 1 minute. 2, structure your answer by describing similarities, then describing differences, and finally answering the question. 3, use interesting connectors to organize your ideas. 4, use speculative language to interpret the pictures. Okay, pause the video now and try to speak for about 1 minute about the photos and answer the question. So how did you go? Let's listen to an example of an answer to the long question. To begin, it seems like both images, there are people concentrating very hard as they do the activity. In the first image, the goalkeeper is focusing on the ball, and in the second picture, the child is anticipating the next move of his opponent. Speaking of differences, the first picture shows a soccer match, which is very physically active, whereas the second picture shows a chess game, which is less physical, but more mentally difficult. I think people in these situations compete for different reasons. To have fun with friends or to challenge themselves. Both these activities could be fun, but very different ways of competing. Okay, now it's Raul's turn to answer a follow-up question. Raul, do you enjoy taking part in competitions?
Yes, I do like competitions, but it depends on the people I am with. On the weekends, I play in a local football competition with my friends. It's a lot of fun. Even if you don't win, everybody wins there, right? The difficult part is when you play against other competitors who are bad sports. I prefer friendly competition.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Raul. So now we've finished the mock exam. So we're going to talk about student responses and possible examiner comments. Here are 3 main pieces of feedback. First of all, Raul's long-term response, he did a good job of structuring his answer with lead-in phrases and linking expressions. Did you hear some of the expressions he used to do this? Phrases like both these pictures or another similarity is, in terms of differences, and on the other hand. So remember, phrases like these help the examiner to easily understand your answer. It also keeps your answer focused on the task. Next, in the long-term answers, the students could try to use more speculative language to give their opinions on the images. So speculative language is language we use to talk about our possibilities and our thoughts when we're not 100% sure of something. For example, expressions such as I imagine, it seems that, it appears that, it could be that, are all great to use in part 2 as they show the examiner that you are interpreting and analyzing the photos. Finally, let's talk about language repetition. In general, Raul's answer contained a lot of interesting grammar structures and vocabulary linked to holidays, camping, and hotel accommodation. So it's important to show the examiner in part 2 that you have technical vocabulary, meaning you know how to speak about the themes of the image using the right words. For example, when talking about camping, words like tents, equipment, campground, sleeping bag are all specific terms related to camping. However, even if you don't remember the exact word, don't panic. Just try to do your best to describe something with the words that you have. Ok, vamos a repasar los 4 trucos que hemos hablado hoy para la segunda parte del examen. First, entender bien el límite de tiempo que tienes para contestar las preguntas. Antes del día de examen, tienes que hacer algunos o algunos cuantos simulacros con reloj para controlar el tiempo. Second, responder a todas las instrucciones del examinador. La tarea de Part 2 no se trata de una descripción de las imágenes, sino una comparación entre ellas. También tienes que responder la pregunta. Ok. Third, tener en cuenta una estructura. Tienes que estructurar tu respuesta. Así evitarás irte por las ramas. Y 4, intenta que tus respuestas estén llenas de connectors, speculative language y, por supuesto, vocabulario interesante relacionado con el tema de las imágenes. Ok, esto es todo por hoy. Nos vemos en la próxima clase. We'll see you there, guys. Bye.